Hey people, it's Niaz talking. Now, this is a story about renewable energy changing the Sahara into a green farmland. So here you go, wind and solar plants in Sahara could turn the desert green. Installing massive fields of wind turbines or solar panels in the Sahara Desert could turn parts of the arid landscape green, according to a new study. Scientists have predicted shifts in the local environment triggered by these structures could bring rain to the desert and improve conditions in some of the world's most inhospitable regions. It's generally agreed that universal renewable energy will be essential to curb carbon emissions from fossil fuels and avoid catastrophic climate change. However, when deployed on the kind of massive scale required to power the world, these developments could have unintended consequences. Scientists predict that when sufficiently large areas of wind turbines and solar panels are installed, their presence could change the reflectivity of the land and movement of air currents. Wind farms have mixed warmer air from above with cooler currents lower down, and solar panels prevent sunlight from being reflected back in the atmosphere. These effects have the potential to change the local climate, and as climate is the change is the very new thing renewable energy is meant to avoid, there is a need to understand the implications of this phenomenon. We want to investigate if we build such large wind and solar farms in the Sahara that can provide enough clean energy to meet all human energy demand, what their impact on regional climate would be. Dr. Dan Lee from the University of Illinois told The Independent. Dr. Lee and his team used a simulation to predict the impact of massive renewable energy products in Sahara and the neighboring Sahel. In principle, this area would be ideally placed to house such a project, as it is sparsely populated and well placed to supply the growing energy demands of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. The researchers found that when installed on a large enough scale, both wind and solar infrastructure would trigger feedback loops that bring more rainfall and promote the growth of vegetation in the desert. In a region that is already feeling the effects of global warming as the Sahara Desert creeps further into the fertile lands bordering it, scientists say the net effect will be surprisingly positive. Precipitation increases predicted by our model will lead to substantial improvements of rain-fed agriculture in the region and vegetation increases will lead to growth in production of livestock, said the Dr. Safa Mochshari, a University of Maryland scientist and a lead author of the science paper discussing the findings. The Sahara, the Sahel, and the Middle East include some of the driest regions in the world while experiencing high growth of population and poverty. Our study has major implications for addressing the intertwined sustainability challenges of the energy-water food nexus in this region. Large-scale renewable energy projects are already underway across parts of North Africa and the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia's announcement of a $200 billion investment on solar panel power. The researchers concluded that if deployed effectively, renewable energy resources could be used not only to clean up the region's electricity supply, but to push back against the spread of deserts caused by global warming. I believe the increasing adoption of renewable energy can save humanity from climate change. Okay, well, this is good. Now, Africa is basically the founding place of humanity, the birthplace of humanity. It's also the breadbasket of the world. It has the most resources. It's one of the most fertile places in the world. And if this goes ahead, African nations could become, almost every African nation, at least in North Africa, would become net exporter of food that they could feed the world. And this is just one aspect. I have another suggestion. Everybody knows what a desalination plant is, at least in principle, right? A desalination plant is a plant that takes water, evaporates it, removes the salt, recools it. If you have millions and millions and millions of solar panels and wind farms, why not use them to power these desalination plants? And with the billions of gallons of water produced by this, I mean, look, Africa, at least from the west coast and from the Mediterranean at least, actually, you only need to take West Africa. If you take Mauritania and some of the western desert, that would turn an area of land the size of Western Europe and turn it into farmland. Not to mention the rest of the desert. I mean, if Egypt could turn some of this land west of the Nile into farmland with desalination plants, like I said, the prospects are endless. So I want you to comment, rate, share, and subscribe. What you think? I want you to comment what you think. Do you like this idea? Do you think it's possible, or is it just more scientific hyperbole? Please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. If you want to support this channel, I'll leave the PayPal in the description. Peace, family.